The alarm, set for 6:30 a.m., was a lie. Elias had been awake since 6 a.m., lying perfectly still in his expensive, minimalist flat in Canary Wharf. Every morning started with a low, visceral thrum, a vibration of anxiety that had no source in his adult life, but dictated every move he made. He was a successful financial consultant, outwardly composed, but internally, he was a tightly wound wire humming with his father's unspoken fears. He caught his reflection in the floor-to-ceiling window. He saw the suit, the confidence, the performance, but he also saw the tension in his shoulders, a permanent hunch of emotional bracing. He was carrying a weight he didn't vote for. It was the inheritance of a man, his father, Arthur, who had taught him one primary lesson: never make a fuss. Arthur, the hardworking engineer from the north, was a man of action, not emotion. He didn't offer praise. He offered silence. He didn't show distress. He showed weariness. And in the vacuum of emotional connection, Elias had built his own internal voice. That voice was not his own. It was his father's ghost, critiquing, judging, demanding perfection. Don't be soft. Get on with it. What will the neighbors think? Elias walked into the kitchen, the marble countertops reflecting his solitude. He thought of last night. He'd meticulously planned a weekend trip with his fiancée, Sarah, down to the minute, when they would leave, the exact route, the budget. Sarah had simply asked, "Can we just go without a plan, Elias? Can we just be spontaneous?" His entire body had frozen. Spontaneity felt like danger. Disorder felt like failure. He'd shut down, using logic as a shield. "That's inefficient, Sarah. We can't waste time." He saw the hurt in her eyes, the familiar disappointment. He wasn't rejecting her. He was reenacting the survival strategy his father had taught him: control everything, or everything controls you. He flashed back to a small, defining memory. He was 8 years old. He had built a complex model aeroplane for a school project, but on the morning of the submission, his little sister knocked it over. It shattered. Elias hadn't cried. He had felt a terrible, hot shame. His father walked in, saw the mess, and instead of offering comfort, he simply said, his voice flat, "Well, fix it. Don't stand there like a broken toy." Elias stayed up all night, gluing the pieces back together, achieving a brittle, cracked perfection. The lesson was learned. Your failure causes me stress, and if you can't fix it immediately, your pain is an inconvenience. Now, as an adult, that lesson manifested as a crippling fear of delegation, a refusal to admit when he was overwhelmed, and a profound inability to simply relax. He wasn't successful. He was perpetually defending himself against the catastrophe that only existed in his mind, the catastrophe of not being enough, which was really the fear of not being loved in a way that he could feel. He was running a marathon just to stay in the same place of uneasy safety. He was exhausted by being perpetually in survival mode. He knew he had to break the pattern, not for Sarah, but for the terrified 8-year-old boy trapped beneath the successful suit. He needed to stop defending his father's silence and start fighting for his own voice. He grabbed his phone and, bypassing his work calls, dialed his father in the Midlands. The distance felt enormous. Arthur answered on the second ring. "Elias, is everything all right?" The familiar anxiety was instantly there. "Yes, Dad, but I need to talk to you about something that's not all right." Elias's voice was shaking, but he kept it steady. "I need to talk about the plane." A long pause stretched across the country. "The what?" Arthur sounded genuinely confused. "The model plane. When I was 8, when I broke it, you told me to fix it. You never asked if I was okay." "Well, you had to learn resilience, son. You had to be tough." Arthur's defense was instant, rigid. Elias pressed forward, gently. "I learned how to be numb, Dad. I learned that my feelings were dangerous. You taught me that strength meant silence, and I've spent my whole life being silent and lonely because of it. I'm not angry at you. I just need you to know the architecture you built my inner life on. There was a new kind of silence now, Not the comfortable silence of avoidance, but the heavy, vibrating silence of a man finally confronted with his own inheritance. I just didn't know what else to do, Elias, Arthur finally whispered, the mask cracking. My father was worse. He didn't even look up. This was the core. Arthur wasn't a villain. He was the first line in a generational pattern of emotional starvation. He was also a casualty. I know, Dad, Elias said, the relief almost painful. But it stops with me. I'm choosing a different blueprint. I'm going to make a fuss. I'm going to feel the things you couldn't. And I wanted you to know that that's okay. He hung up, the air in the room suddenly feeling lighter, though the call had been the hardest thing he'd ever done. He looked out the window at the towering buildings of the city he had conquered. The tension was still there, but it was receding. He felt the stirrings of something new, a genuine, unearned sense of peace. Elias put his work bag down. He called Sarah. Forget the itinerary, he said, his voice light. We're going to the coast. We're not booking a thing, and we're going to see what happens. I'm ready to stop planning and start living. He walked away from the perfection of his kitchen counter. He had finally stepped out of his father's war and into his own life. The hardest part wasn't the confrontation, it was now learning how to live without the armor. But today, he would take the first, messy, glorious step.